Okay, we have been developing the ABP platform from the first day to be microservice compatible. It actually provides some fundamental architectural patterns out of the box, like microservice systems, creating modular applications, TDD-based solutions, and also multi-tenancy. Some of them, or actually most of them, are interrelated to each other. In Germany, when I was with Alper, and I made a workshop with modular development with ASP.NET Core and ABP framework. It was a 2 hours workshop, and we had a great feedback from the attendees. Okay, now here I want to mention about the latest state of the microservice startup template that we are providing with the ABP framework to simplify how to easily start a new microservice solutions with ABP framework. Actually, it's the easiest solution to get started with microservices for .NET platform, we think. When you go to the platform architectural page, you can read the microservice architecture with .NET article that is recently added to the website, and it explains what is microservice architecture, why we need to create such a system. The most important part is challenge of a microservice development, which with the ABP framework we are trying to solve these challenges. And of course, who is microservice architecture suitable for, and how to design a system that can be distributed with microservice architecture. And it actually explains all the concerns you should care about when you are designing a microservice system. And it also describes why we may have a infrastructure like ABP framework instead of starting from scratch, what benefits it can provide to us, like some base classes, libraries, communication patterns, inter-microservice communication patterns, automating some cross-cutting concerns, and so on. And finally, it also explains what ABP framework provides for developing microservice solutions with the ABP Studio and ABP Startup Solution template. So here, I will use the ABP Studio and create a new microservice solution. And we will see in each step, we will see how ABP helps us for creating and making development for such a complicated architecture, how makes it very easy to get started with. For installing the ABP Studio, you can use the Get Started button on the ABP.io website. You can download, it can work on Windows and macOS for now. After downloading it, okay, before going to ABP Studio, I also want to mention about 2 important documents that you will need to read while developing microservice solutions with the ABP framework. The first one is Get Started. It explains how to create a new solution, just like we will do in this presentation. Even the setting up a development environment with pre-requirements gets time. ABP Studio installed most of these requirements automatically. This is just for creating a new solution and making it running and understanding the solution structure in overall. Second document you should check is the microservice solution development tutorial. Here, it's a 7-part tutorial. It shows how to create a solution, add the new microservices, make them communicate, integrate to each other, and so on. So this is the second document you should care. And also, finally, we have a microservice solution document under the solution templates. This is a reference document. when you want to know everything more details, or when you have a problem, you can come, for example, if you want to know how the localization system or distributed login has configured for the microservice solution, you can come here, check the document, understand this solution structure in very detailed, and also understand which design decisions we have taken and why we did it like that. So it explains clearly with this document. Let's start with the ABP Studio New Solution button. When you open the ABP Studio, in the left top you see some tabs. We will use these features with the microservice solution, but just start with the new solution. We have three options as a startup solution. We can create a single layer, most simple architected solution for .NET. The second one is a layered architecture solution. It creates a layered solution structure based on DDD principles and patterns. Both of these startup templates can be used to create modular applications also. And finally, microservice solution template we will use today to create a new solution. I'm selecting this and clicking to the next one. Here I can give a name like Cloud CRM. Okay, here you see we give a solution name, output folder, and create solution folder for this solution. In the next step, we can select MongoDB or Entity Framework Core. It supports both database management systems. The next step, when you select Entity Framework Core, you can select SQL Server, MySQL, or PostgreSQL.
I think these are only three options here. What if anyone wants to use any other EF Core supported provider?
Good question. Here we have pre-configured this template to automatically use this one of these. For others, you should manually switch based on the documentation. In the documentation, you can check data access, Entity Framework Core, switch database management system. So how to switch to another database management system. So it supports Postgre, Oracle also, SQLite. Maybe don't use it for microservices, but you can switch. And also you can check Entity Framework Core document because it actually supports everything that is supported by Entity Framework Core. So basically like that. In the future, we will complete all the lists, so it will be much easier.
So there is no restriction to use any EF Core supported database provider.
Definitely. Okay. Yes. Okay. Next step, we can select to enable multi-tenancy or not. If we select multi-tenancy, also a new microservice is added to the solution to manage the tenants, additions, and so on, the SaaS module. Next step, you see many of the UI framework options are available, like MVC for server rendered HTML, Angular, any kind of Blazor, even Blazor in a desktop application with MyUI Blazor hybrid option. Or if you want to create your UI from scratch, you can select the no UI option. I will go with the MVC option in this session. Here we can select a mobile framework. This is also very important because when you are building a large solution, you typically want to add a mobile application to your system that is directly integrated to your backend and works with the same database, same services, and so on. So you can create a mobile application inside the solution in the first step. I will select MyUI here. Another option you see, there are many options. You can, of course, go next by not understanding, but if you understand all, it really makes you a very good start to your solution. Many of the challenges you will face in the future are already solved and provided as option to you, so you can customize your solution and so on. For example, if you want to create a SaaS application and you want to create a landing page to promote your product, for example, a pricing table, a kind of maybe sales website and so on. So this, you can add a second web application to the solution for these purposes. I'm selecting the dynamic localization. Here, there are some modules you can install out of the box. Identity, account, and some other fundamental modules are already installed by default. But these modules are optional, like GDPR may be not needed for your region and so on. Here you can select whatever module you want. There are a few modules not listed here, but available on the ABP.io website. When you go to the modules page, you may find some modules not listed here. You can install this kind of modules later, for example, forms module and so on, with the ABP Studio, so no problem. But these are pre-integrated to the solution and can be selected as an optional. If you want to get more information, you can click here for more details. For example, chat module is used to add a chat page that can be used to make messaging between your users and so on. Okay, let's continue. Here we select basically two UI team. Basic theme is just Bootstrap based, no style edit. If you want to create your UI theme based on Bootstrap from scratch, you can select this. But if you want to have a production ready, fancy, modern UI theme, you can select the Leptonix, which is the default and really good UI theme for the ABP projects. Leptonix theme supports two different layout, like a sidebar layout or top menu layout. You can select one of them. I will continue with the sidebar. Then you can select light, dim, dark as the default theme style. While your users can dynamically change in the future, you can set a default here. We recommend system because system makes, if users use computer as in dark mode, it automatically use the dark mode. If user has setting in their computer in light mode, it will be light mode. Okay, let's continue with system. In the next step, you can select how to localize your user interface. If you don't want to localize your user interface, if you are building a solution only for a single language, you may disable it for simplicity. But if you do that, then you can select any kind of language here. These languages are pre-translated for you, so it will be working out of the box. But if your language is not here, you can add custom language. You can add any language from here. Then after creating the solution, you need to localize the user interface based on this new language. Okay, I selected a few languages. You can remove and so on. In the next step, there are some additional options. Kubernetes, for example, is a de facto solution to deploy microservice solutions, deploy, scale, anything, You can select it, of course, and you can add social logins, add tests, or some kind of other options here. Probably in the future, you will see more options to make it much more production ready or much more finalized application. Finally, in the last screen, this is added in last months, we allow you to add microservices while creating your solution. You can add services, of course, later when you need that. But if you know that I have 5 microservices, definitely need to be in the initial application, you can add here for simplicity. I will add, for example, catalog service and ordering service.
So when we add these services, it will be added empty, connected to our main application. So we will just need to create our entities inside these sub-projects.
Definitely, yeah. Actually, when you add a new microservice, it requires to configure the API gateway, connect it to the main application, configure its database. There are many settings need to be done, like Kubernetes configuration and so on. But if you add on the startup, it automatically makes all these kind of things for you. If you add it later, also it makes. But in this way, it creates an empty solution. Empty means not completely empty, of course, but has no functionality. You can directly start with adding your entities.
I would start adding 10 empty projects, like service 1, service 2. Later I will rename. It will be more practical for me.
No, later you will see it's easy to add. Okay, after creating the solution, it makes some preparations like npm install or creating database migrations, like installing some certificates that will be needed to run the application in HTTPS. So it makes some initial configuration for you in your computer. But when your teammate, when your friend gets this from repository, get this from source control, they also need to make some changes or execute some commands in their computer, which is documented in the README file. So it clearly explains how to prepare the solution to be executed and how to run mobile application, for example, and configure Kubernetes and so on. But most of these steps are already done by the ABP Studio. I will explain the solution structure later, but I want to show that how it's easy to run the microservice with ABP Studio. Normally there are many services, gateways, web applications here. So you need to run all this solution in Visual Studio. If you do that, it will be very hard and gets so much time. So ABP Studio Solution Runners makes it very easy to run, test, and develop this kind of microservice solutions. You see the solution root is here. I can, enlarge it here. You see the containers came new here. Previously, we were handling container dependencies in a different way. Now, in the latest versions, if you expand it, you can see that this solution uses Elasticsearch, Grafana, RabbitMQ, SQL Server, Redis. All are run in Docker containers. So when with a single click, it will start all. You see
very good feature. This is very good feature because all the integrated tools are internally accessible from ABP Studio from one screen, and it's similar to tie-end .NET Aspire, but has more functionality here.
Yeah. By the way, we are also integrating .NET Aspire for who wants to use .NET Aspire with IBP's microservice solution to combine their power. So it will be available in next versions. Okay, here you see also .NET MyUI. I want to stop this. I want to exclude this from the running because I will run MyUI from the Visual Studio. This will be default in the next versions. Okay, here you see gateway services and so on. I'm just clicking to the play button near to the solution root, and that's all. Of course,
probably his CPU is now in very high temperature. That's why we are lagging here.
It runs all applications with .NET Run.
I think your computer is now in danger. Your voice is coming in a delayed way.
Okay,
we can
now
wait
it's
a little
okay.
bit. Just wait a little bit until this your computer becomes idle.
It uses all the power because
Yes. Because at the same
runs all
time,
the
you
applications
start
in the parallel.
many application parallel way.
Yeah, it starts in parallel and uses all power of the computer. That's why it is like that. You can start one by one or folder by folder for easier.
Because you are streaming also, it's affecting
Yes,
your
streaming also consumes my resources too much. Okay. Now the solution is running. I think everything
So on
fine.
top, we see 15/16 application running in the dashboard line. It means
I
you have
disabled my UI.
excluded one.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Here you see 14 requests. Even 14 requests happened without browsing the applications because microservices are communicated on startup with each other
Negotiate.
for some reasons, and some events, even some exceptions, and so on. So you can see the state of the solution here. I will mention about more details, but now I want to directly browse the application to see what it provides out of the box. To do that, I can use the browse tab in the ABP Studio. It shows all the browsable applications here. Here I want to browse the web application. I can click here or right click to the web application here and select the browse command. When I do that, I see the application UI here. Now it's light, but I can switch to dark mode, semi-dark, okay. I made it light to make it different from the studio frame. Here you see there is a login button. When I click the login button, it redirects me to the authentication server, which is a single sign-on server in our solution. I'm entering the standard password. It's like that, not a secret. After login, it redirects me to a main application. Here you see there are some menu items added because we now logged in. We have permissions assigned and so on. To see all the permissions, I can go to the identity management rows and I can see that all the permissions are assigned to me. So no problem. I can see all menu items. Here there is a sample dashboard you can remove or change based on requirements. If you select multi-tenancy, we have a tenant management module, the SaaS module added. I selected file management, remember. I can upload files. It's my picture. Okay. We can upload files and share with the team. So this is like simple Google Drive module. Also added as a standalone microservice. You see it's file management service here. Here, identity management module installed by default. I can select roles, users, and so on. I don't want to go details of each module because there are many features for each module. You can check from the ABP module introduction or promotion page. Here,
But even like this, when you start a new project and when you show this to your boss or your customer, they will be amazed after seeing this in the first day.
Yeah, in the 5 minutes, we have a complete working microservice solution with many common application requirements already implemented for us. Like, for example, language management, you can add language on the fly. On the audit logs, I can see, for example, I uploaded a file recently. I can see its details, which user executed this, which actions performed, what are the parameters, and so on.
I sometimes hear in conferences, people coming and talking me about ABP. They say, when we start a new project, we don't tell the boss about what's going on. After 1 month, we are showing your scratch screens, which is very nice. And they think all the month we have worked on the project.
It was a joke, probably.
I don't know.
I don't
Just
want to believe.
weird like this.
Okay, here you see email settings or like password policy settings, lockout, or there are like electronics menu. I can select top menu or so on. There are many features. Also, the UI team is you see responsive, even good working with mobile applications.
Also working on Mac computers.
Web application.
No, Studio.
Studio, yes. It works on Mac, as I mentioned before. When you go here, you can download for Mac, so it works for Mac also. Here, there are many security features already implemented for us. I can go to my account, change profile picture, change password, upload profile picture. Now I can upload this file. Resize
Also,
and so on.
many things that you have not seen here on the UI, like concurrency check, database transaction management, input validations, localization, transaction management, multi-time zone support, many things, many cross-cutting concerns under the hood already implemented.
ABP actually is a platform. Startup template just makes all the configuration, brings different modules together, structure your code base and so on. But these modules are also available for monolith applications, and most of this kind of generic features are already implemented. It saves months of development, and also when you create your own functionality, you write less code with the ABP framework and so on. Okay, let's focus on microservice side, because when I start to mention about all ABP features, it never ends in the session. Now, after browsing, for example, let's create a new role, make some changes. I created a new role, can assign some permissions and so on. But whenever I do some things in the HTTP request tab here, I can see all the HTTP requests that was executed in the system. This is very interesting feature because, if you use browser tools, you can see only the HTTP request that is made from your browser to the API gateways maximum. But after API gateway, it may make a request to a microservice. This microservice can make additional requests to other microservices. So it's not easy to track this. But with HTTP request tab of ABP Studio, you can see all the details. And let's, for example, I created a role, create module, and so on. So we can see request, response here, HTTP headers, response and request headers, it's URL and so on.
It would be very good if we make a schema link to each other these requests.
Yeah. We are working on that to make it much better. But for now, we can see all the HTTP requests executed in the system, not only on the web application. So also we can track. This is a very good feature of ABP Studio. You see, we have created a new role, and it publishes and distributed event. This distributed event then can be subscribed by any module or any microservice to get informed when a new role has been created. So you see this empty identity role created event is sent by the identity service. It's not received by any service because it's not, probably they are not subscribed for this event. But you see the applications send and receive some distributed events. You can select directions, application to filter this kind of events. Okay, distributed events was another communication that can be performed between microservices, and we can track it here. Also exceptions, for example, let's make an exception to create the same role second time. We can see that it's okay.
All the exceptions are handled
Actually,
here.
yeah, two exceptions we see, because the first, the identity service throws this exception. Moderator role has already taken. We can see the stack trace here. The second exception we see from the web application, because web application makes request to identity service. Identity service throws this exception. Web application catch this exception and rethrows. So we can also see it here. We can see logs of any application, like for example, identity service. When I open this, okay. Here I can see all the detailed logs, including the exception, for example, that is thrown here. So tracing logs is also another problem with microservice systems. Like actually, tracing monitoring is hard for microservice systems. ABP Studio application monitor, this area is for this purpose.
You can filter also level, like errors. Only you will see errors here when you are
error, no error, but warning, for example. Let's see warning. Yeah, you see warning because this role name was a warning. Okay, that's good. Recently, we added this container feature and also added another feature related to that. You see that, for example, here I see Grafana that collects metrics from our application throughout Prometheus. Actually Prometheus collects, but Grafana visualizes it. From tools window, that is new, you can see all these tools we are using. That takes data from the containers. To open the user interface, you can right-click Grafana and select the Open Tool UI, or come from the Tool tab here and select the Grafana. When you open
By the way, Halil, someone is asking about traces. That's why I screened this question.
Yeah.
Hi, ABP team. Will there be observability traces metrics integration in ABP Studio?
We are currently working on that, but we are also taking this work as related to the .NET Aspire integration. When we integrate .NET Aspire to the solution, you can use .NET Aspire's dashboard in the ABP Studio also. So it also has traces, metrics, and more functionality. However, it's also basic. There are many industry standard systems or tools for that, like Juggler. How was it? Juggler. Juggler or something like that. I cannot remember now the exact name. Okay, there are some metrics visualization systems. So you can, we will also integrate them and connect through the OpenTelemetry protocol. So it will be available soon in the ABP Studio. I can say that for now. So let's see the Grafana dashboard. Jagger, yes. Jagger, but for me, some words are hard to say. Jagger. Yeah, Jagger tracing. We will use this because it is really great. So when we collect metrics here and show it in the ABP Studio like that easily, you can trace metrics. So for Grafana, for example, when you go to dashboards, we added a default dashboard here. So you can see, for example, HTTP request, HTTP method distribution, like concurrent connection, some other kind of dashboard stuff. We have prepared this as a basic starting point. You can, of course, add more dashboards, collect some more metrics, and so on. For the beginning, it works out of the box. That's great. Kibana, it's actually part of Elastic family, and Elasticsearch collects logs, and Kibana is used to visualize it, like relation with Prometheus and Grafana. So here also you can discover logs. I can say test. You see, actually, ABP Studio provides basic metric and tracing systems and monitoring systems, but for more advanced scenarios, it's best to use the industry standard tools like Kibana, Grafana, or Jaeger. Here you see all the logs. You can filter by any kind of, for example, based on application. You can see authentication server, web, SaaS service identity, send some logs, and so on. So Kibana is very advanced tool. So I don't want to mention more here, but you can check. That is easy to use with the ABP Studio. Prometheus and RabbitMQ also. For RabbitMQ, when we publish distributed events, we can see events here, like connections. You see many connections made to RabbitMQ. Probably each of them are a microservice because they are listening events, like channels, exchange, class CRM is or exchange for this solution. So messages are here. When we create a new moderator one, like, okay, it made me log out probably. Okay. Okay, when we create a new event, it can be available here and so on, RabbitMQ dashboard. So by the time when we add more containers, we will also make more integrations. But actually, this integration is simple. You can add just a name, URL, and connect this to a container here. So it monitors the status of container execution state, and when it runs, it automatically opens this URL here. So you can add, this is configurable, and so on.
So we can add here any website.
Actually, any website. Yes, URL is just arbitrary value. You can add any website here. You can add ChatGPT to ask questions.
Yes, it's also a good way. If you are working very much with ChatGPT, add.
Let's try. What was?
I don't know ChatGPT.
Yes. Now ChatGPT is available in ABP Studio.
Yes, AI Assistant Studio. in 1 second.
Okay. Okay, I run all the system in my local computer now. Now I will also mention about Kubernetes because it comes with Kubernetes configuration. And we can deploy easily to Kubernetes, especially in local Kubernetes. It's pre-configured for us. Now I want to stop the application. Stopping containers takes a little time, but stopping .NET applications is much faster. By the time I can start building the Docker images, you see here, we can see in the Kubernetes tab, there are two tabs, Helm and Kubernetes. Helm, is a system, a tool to make it easy for configuring, for managing all your Kubernetes configuration. So it has charts. Every chart is responsible to configure one thing in your solution. Here we have pre-configured all these charts for all the services, even for custom services and so on. So when you right click here, you see 3 commands. Build Docker image is, for deploying to Docker engine in Kubernetes, which is default in the solution. We need to build Docker images. It takes a little time because it really builds, it builds in release mode, publishes somewhere, and creates the Docker image from here. So first time it gets a little time. By the time I check, here solution runner has stopped. I can show you that we can see all the pods in this Cloud CRM local namespace, which is the namespace of the solution. It comes from the solution name plus this profile name here. You see there is no resources found in Cloud CRM local namespace now because we haven't deployed anything. We can also see that on Docker desktop that we haven't deployed any services yet. After completing all the images, I will install with Helm install. It's about to finish. By the way, to check this Helm chart contents, you can right-click one of them and open with, for example, Visual Studio Code. You can see all the charts here. For example, like identity service, like service pod configuration, pod configuration and service configuration. You see. Of course, it's hard for me in this session to explain all this, but I will return later a little more. Okay. Now all the Docker images are ready. I can right-click and say that install these charts. It's very fast because it installs to Kubernetes, but then starts. Kubernetes tries to start them. It gets sometimes for startup because it's starting many applications, and also these applications some kind of has communication with each other, and also every microservice in the solution is responsible to create its own database if the database is not available, and also if database is available and there is some database migrations, every microservice itself applies these migrations to database automatically on startup. Of course, we have thought about if this microservice has multiple instances, can start concurrently. So this kind of concurrency problems are already considered. Let me check the pod states. Yeah, see that this time we see all the microservices, gateways, and applications running in the Kubernetes, and all seems ready. So now we can go to the Kubernetes tab and press the connect button. Connect button creates a VPN tunnel between our computer and the Kubernetes cluster. In this way, in the first run for this application, it takes a little time, but later it will be much faster. So then it also checks all the services, gets a list of services here, and we can access all the services and applications and also databases and infrastructure tools in this Kubernetes cluster. You see that now all of the items here is matched to a Kubernetes services. For example, for identity service, I can right-click and browse it. Here you see identity API, Swagger UI, role management, like organization unit management, and so on. It provides only API, since this is a microservice solution. Normally, this identity service is not exposed to out of cluster because of security. You know, only the API gateway and applications should be exposed out of cluster, and all microservices should be internally communicating, but not exposed to outside. But since we have a VPN tunnel here, we can access all these all these microservices and also even the databases. Let's open the pre-configured. You see that many databases has created here, like ordering service, identity service, catalog service, audit logging service. All services has its own database with its own tables. For example, identity has like roles, users, and so on. For example, ordering service has only event box, out box, and migrations tables because this ordering service has no functionality yet. You will add your tables, but basic tables like event outbox and event inbox for distributed transactional messaging, that is a feature provided by ABP framework, are automatically created. Okay. Now we can even browse the application while it is not running in our solution runner. Now we can browse the application running in the Kubernetes. I will grant all the permission for one time. Now I can see all the menu items. It's just same application, this time running in Kubernetes as I demonstrated here. In also Docker desktop application, you can see all the applications and services running here. There are some more features like Kubernetes integrated development with the ABP framework, but I will not mention here because it's like development and out of scope of this event. When we connect to Kubernetes, we can still get all the HTTP requests, distributed events, exceptions, logs. For now, no tool UI available, but it will also come in next version. But if you want, for example, you can browse Grafana UI by right-clicking. Again, same Grafana UI, but this time working on Kubernetes. You see that it's not running in local environment now. It's coming from Kubernetes. ABP Studio can understand that this solution is running in Kubernetes, and you see for all the application, it writes that it is running as external and connected to Kubernetes. So you don't accidentally run also in your local environment to not make any conflict. Basically like that, I want to also show the folder structure in the next 5 minutes, and then I will continue with questions if we have. Here, when we right-click to the root of the solution, there are many features I didn't show here, but when you go with the Open with Explorer, the root solution structure is like that. Here you see applications, gateways, services. These folders contains, for example, services. When you go, catalog service, GDPR service, identity, ordering, and so on. For each folder, you can see a completely independent .NET solution file. That means this microservice is completely independent physically from other parts of the solution. That means you can move this to a dedicated GitHub repository, for example, change folder structure, and so on. It doesn't affect. When you open this solution, let's open the solution in, for example, Rider. The solution, .NET solution, has 3 folders. Since each microservice or application has its own dedicated Visual Studio solution or .NET solution, when you open one of them, you only focus on this part, not on all the solution in one .NET solution. It would be much more inefficient for development. So here you can see that we will define our controllers here. It even has a demo controller. There is a contracts package that you may want to share with other microservices if you want to make project-based dependencies. If you don't want, you can use some other kind of techniques to not make project-level dependency. And of course, test project if you want to make tests. So there is a base class here. You can just inherit from this base class and write your unit tests or integration tests for this microservice. So you see that even the automated test stuff is well taught and ready to start development. Okay, this folder structure for microservices were like that. And also you see there is an etc folder. It contains some configuration. Let's go from the helm. Here you see some scripts. For example, if you want to build, remember that from the Kubernetes tab, I right click and build Docker images. Actually, all the commands here are actually PowerShell files, matched with PowerShell files from the folder structure. That means you can customize this process, how to build your images or how to install these charts to Kubernetes with Helm. So if you see this configuration, it's just PowerShell file. You can customize based on your requirements. We can also see it in Visual Studio Code. Yeah. Main configuration file for local development is here. So you can change connection strings or copy this file and create another file for another environment. Change your configuration, deployment, .NET environment, and so on. Documentation explains this, but you can check just normal Helm configuration, actually, not very fancy, but it's done for all your services. Finally, I want to stop the application. Sorry, I want to disconnect from Kubernetes. Of course, I disconnected, but it is actually still working in my computer. I just make this connection from the ABP Studio to Kubernetes. But for example, if I want to browse one of the applications in my browser, I can still browse. It's running in Kubernetes because even if I close ABP Studio, it still works. It's because it's deployed to Kubernetes. To uninstall, I can right-click and uninstall Helm charts from Kubernetes. When I do that, you will see all the services are now just removed from Kubernetes. Okay. When you want to add a new microservice, ABP Studio provides a great shortcut for that. You can right-click here, add new module, because everything is module here. Even microservices is a kind of module for ABP Studio. So we can add microservice, new API gateway, or a new web application. Let's create a microservice, for example, payment service to this folder. I can select MongoDB for new microservice or continue with SQL and the framework core. I will continue with the same, so I can include tests. This part is important, but all the default configuration is very good because in this part, we are integrating this new service to other service in the microservice solution. How to authenticate, which services use it for authentication, which gateways will use this. For example, I want to expose this new service to also public web gateway, or which UI application I will use this service, and so on. But default configuration is mostly enough. When I do that, you see it adds a payment service, shows a documentation for additional information about this payment service. You can check the documentation for details what it did for your solution. It actually makes many configuration, including API gateway, YARP configuration, and so on. If you want to open this with Visual Studio for development, you can just open and make your development. Create your entities and so on. So many configurations you see already done, like multi-tenancy, barrier authentication, configured cores, configured Swagger, distributed cache, distributed lock, anti-forgery. All the production ready and development required features are already configured properly. So it works out of the box.
I have a question, Halil. It's related about this one. In these services, are there separate UIs, or are you using a centralized UI for each service?
For this microservice solution, we have created a web application that actually uses web API gateway, and in this way it uses microservices. But for each microservice, we didn't add a dedicated user interface. Actually, this can be also followed, but in practical life, these microservices, like it's a kind of modular UI. Actually, it's a different topic. You can even create, micro frontends approach and so on. But for this microservice solution, it's also actually a common approach to create a one web application, uses the API gateway. So for each service, some services like identity service, okay, I can create a user management page that is completely independent from other services. That can be possible. But think about the payment service. It also many UI parts, from orders, from catalog. This completely integrated actually. Think about the public face of an e-commerce web application. There are many UI parts coming from, for example, user comments, user reveals, like related items and so on. UI development is completely based on your domain. So we have just one application here. You can define everything here, and if you want, you can make it modular too.
Also, UI is not making bottleneck, I think, in latency or complexity of the application. It's very little percent in terms of other services, database operations, IO operations, accessing inter-services, communication. So I think also no need to split this.
But if you want to do that, ABP Studio is really powerful to create custom systems. Right-click to the payment system, add package, new package. Here you will see different kind of packets. For example, I am creating MVC UI here. I can select the MVC UI and rename this as cloud crm.payment service.ui, for example. When I do that, it adds a UI package here. After that, when I reopen the solution with Visual Studio, I think it was already open, so reload comes. Now you see that a UI package come to the microservice solution. So you can create a new page here. There is even a sample page. You can create this page, and then finally add a reference to the main application. Let's go and do that. It's very easy actually. For the web application, you can add package reference. Sorry, import mode. Sure. here. Okay, add package reference. Here I can select from this solution payment UI. You see, it's already recommending, so it understands. When you do that, you can add page to the payment service UI package and reuse from the web application. It will be integrated. Of course, maybe some additional configuration needed, but basically it makes the architecture. So it's elastic, actually, flexible. I mean, you can do any kind of architecture.
Maybe if you have, if you give this module to an outsourced company, which is responsible for UI and everything, yes, they can work without connecting to you. They can work on their place.
Okay, can be.
Okay, we can go on. Are you going to continue?
No, for me it's finished. We can continue with questions for next minutes. It's okay.
So people are asking, is this paid or free, or is there any way to use a microservice as a free user?
To answer that, I can show you the pricing table. Microservice solution is only available for business and enterprise packets, so it's not free. But if the question is possible to develop microservice solutions with ABP framework, open source side, it's possible, but you should handle these kind of things yourself. You can set up the solution structure yourself and so on. But this microservice solution features of ABP Studio and this startup template only available with commercial license.
Also, they can investigate, they can examine our eShop sample.
Yeah, while we don't maintain it anymore, you can still check the ABP. In the ABP framework, you can see eShop on ABP. So you can check this was an example solution. It also like has some kind of explanation and so on. You can check this for an example, but of course with ABP Studio we worked on we added too much things on top of that to make it much more easier. So we think that microservice is a like enterprise level system
And complex, needs some team.
You should have some budget and for this kind of things, I think.
Also, consider if you need microservice. As you see, it's a little bit harder than monolithic application or layered application. Many people just start because it's trendy. Another question, Yaso Tang, he wants to use layered application with microservice, not use subservice, but he wants to create a layered application and another microservice application. He wants to communicate each other. I don't know why it's needed.
Very less information actually. What kind of combination he wants. For example, when you create a standalone layered application and a standalone microservice solution, of course they can communicate. They can make HTTP requests to each other, send events and so on.
Okay, I can answer this one. Is there any functionality to send and receive the data in REST API in an encrypted format? ABP doesn't provide such a feature. You need to implement this. Actually, there is SSL, which makes the encryption on the transportation layer. But if you really have a requirement, maybe you have very secure or some standards, regulations, you can write your own middleware in ABP framework. It's not limited.
Yeah, but actually best to use HTTPS because it makes everything.
Okay. Another one, last one. Authorization can it be replaced by key clock?
It can be replaced by key clock. Microservice startup template supports OpenID Connect protocol with OAuth 2 standards. So any server, any authentication server can be used. But in the same time, keeping the logic of multi-tenancy may not be so possible, because on the authentication side, probably it will not know what tenant you want to log in. So this integration probably needs some kind of additional works by you. For example, when you redirect to Kcloak, you may add microservice, tenant information to the header and use it in this Kcloak, match the tenants in the Kcloak and so on. There are some kind of multi-tenancy feature in Kcloak too, as I know, but there is no direct integration.